Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here, and this is no longer shoujo versus shonen. It's just way too hard to find one shoujo and one shonen and come up with some idea which connects the two of them. So, I'm thinking I'm gonna retitle this "Double Manga Death Battle" or something. Anyway, if you got a suggestion, let me know in the comments. Maybe like the weeb term for duel, like Kento or whatever that is. All right. So we're looking at Neon Genesis Evangelion, the Shinji Ikari Raising Project, Volume 2, which is a collection of 3 volumes of manga, and Blank Slate, story and art by Aya Kano. And maybe the funny thing about this is this looks like it should be a shoujo manga. It was even published in Shoujo Beat. This isn't a shoujo manga. This is pure shonen in its style and its action. This looks like it should be a shonen book, right? Because we got like giant robots and we got pretty girls, but no. We don't need any giant robots in the Neon Genesis Evangelion story. We just need pure, silly shoujo tropes. So each of these look like they're supposed to be something, but they're not. Neon Genesis Evangelion, I read volume 1 and I said, it's kind of fun, it's kind of dumb. Maybe if you like the show and the show makes you sad because it's so tragic, then maybe this would be like a dumb alternate universe where the characters are happy and it's kind of like a pure form of escapism. I can't recommend it anymore. I got sick of it after a few pages. It worked in the first volume because it was just so dopey and it was just embracing the dumb, shoujo stereotypes like, oh no, he tripped and he fell on her boob and now she's mad and now she slaps him. But it's just story after story after that. And what I figured is every time there was a piece of fan service in this, it needed to be a giant robot fight. We needed some giant robot fights in a Neon Genesis Evangelion book. Even if that wasn't the primary focus, we shouldn't have had it just be the one and only thing. I don't know why I marked this. Did I mark this as an example of fan service or because there was some funny line in here? Oh, okay. I marked this because the redhead's name is Asuka. Asuka is kind of like cast as the childhood friend in this book. And you can tell the translators had a lot of fun with this and just went off the rails because anytime she yells "baka" and slaps Shinji, they do something silly with it. So like she trips and falls on Shinji this time. He says, but you're the one who tripped and fell on me. And she says, that's a two-koke argument, which is actually an incorrect application of that she's incorrectly identifying what he said as a fallacy. He's actually making a correct observation, but it's just so ridiculous that the translators clearly just said, what are we gonna slap here? Nothing tops in volume 1 the line cranking up the baka pretty early in the morning. Like 100%, the translators just picked up on what these tropes are and said, okay, whatever, this is a goofy manga. Let's just have some silly fun with the translation. I don't know why I marked this. There's just not that much here. Like there's a few jokes where she'll say like, oh, you're too much of a baka for the world to understand or whatever. And also I guess the dad's kind of funny because he's an evil SOB in the anime, and here he's kind of a silly, fun dad who like gives an epic speech and then whacks the control panel with a knife hand, and him whacking the control panel fixes the machine, and so that kind of stuff. So if you really, really, really like Neon Genesis Evangelion and you're looking for something to celebrate Neon Genesis Evangelion coming to Netflix, maybe you read volume 1, but I just got completely sick of it trying to read volume 2. And also the fan service went beyond just like comedic fan service. Like it's sort of to be expected that there's going to be like a hot girl or a boob joke or a whoops, I accidentally tripped and fell over into the girls' public bathroom, silly me, right? But this got into like softcore porn territory, and I think it's just it's using fan service as a way to try to keep horny teenage boys invested rather than actually giving me any kind of story. Or that's why it needs giant robots. I need to see the giant robots so I can see the effect this is having on them as they're essentially being drafted as child soldiers. So if the whole idea of this alternate universe is, what if the kids in Neon Genesis Evangelion weren't like these poor tortured souls? What if they were actually raised to have good friendships and good wholesome relationships? Well, then I want to see how that affects their fighting style. Are they better fighters because they've been raised this way? So yeah, anti-recommend. Blank Slate was published in Shoujo Beat manga and 100% feels like a boy's action-adventure story. And one of the things that's interesting about it is it has a completely evil protagonist. He's supposed to be evil, and I feel like it avoids like going down like the grim, dark, let's be as edgy and evil as possible vibe. I think it's telling an interesting story with an evil character that is about the nature of good and evil. The little opening story I read in the author's comments actually changed. It was originally something different, and then they took a little bonus story and they made that the introductory story. And it's a great little standalone story with this guy called Russo, who is a bounty hunter because he wants to kill people. And the only way for him to legally kill people is as a bounty hunter. And he meets the protagonist, Zen, and Zen kind of fascinates him. It's hinted that it might be like a homosexual relationship, or it may not. It may be just a completely chaste relationship between these two guys where he's completely interested in Zen as like someone who could kill him. Right? He's interested in meeting a man who's more dangerous and more powerful than him. And it has this kind of neat Shakespearean ironic twist at the end. And then after that, the story then begins to focus on Zen. Now Zen's name is ironic because Zen is like this Buddhist concept of peace. And Zen is just evil. He is a master criminal. He's licentious. He's sinful in every possible way. Sexual deviousness, violent deviousness. He's a bad man. But he's also in a world kind of run by a bad totalitarian government. So, but I guess the point of it is, if you're an evil person in an evil world, how does your evil compare to the rest of the world? So if Zen is an anarchist, then the world he lives in is totalitarian, and Zen doesn't even have like the anti-hero quality where, you know, they might kill criminals but they won't hurt kids. Like, he will kill a kid if he thinks that kid will rat him out, and because Zen only cares about preserving his own life. He's like an ultimate survivor. But he won't kill just for the fun of killing, and sometimes he can sort of point his evil at evil targets. So the closest to like a good person in this is Dr. Ruka, and Zen comes to him injured, and Dr. Ruka heals him, and Zen kind of makes the point, well, you're willing to be a criminal and heal a criminal, aren't you? So you're willing to endanger all the people in this village. You're willing to make money doing something illegal to help the people of this village. And this kind of becomes a moral testing for Dr. Ruka when the police from the other country come hunting for Zen. And it kind of makes the point that Ruka is a well-intentioned person. He cares about human life, and so he's willing to become a criminal in the name of protecting the lives of innocent people that he doesn't want to see destroyed. And now that he's become a criminal, he's sort of in it with Zen. And the really interesting stuff comes when they start infiltrating like the evil government, and they have this conversation about Zen's power and the question of, is Zen really free? And what I like about this is talking about how an evil person who kind of gives in to his base desires may seem free, but isn't really. I am free in everything. It's not for me. I'm just following these urges I have. The completely free human being, says Ruka, doesn't exist. I bet you're bound by those urges. But if you got some kind of reason... Okay, so it's a little bit disjointed, the conversation, but in context, Ruka is explaining to Zen that he thinks he's controlled by his sort of violent, evil urges. And Zen doesn't like that because Zen wants to be a completely free human being. So after they kind of like beat up the bad guy government and escape spectacularly, Zen decides he's going to do something to figure out what is controlling him and how he can be free of that, which is interesting. Once again, it's a character who's kind of looking at himself and realizing something he thinks about himself isn't true. Zen thinks he's free, but he's really controlled by his base evil desires, and he doesn't want to be controlled by those base evil desires. And maybe there's like some supernatural thing where like it's the super duper power demon that's controlling him and he must control the power demon. Even if there's like this supernatural explanation for that, that's really identifiable, because the whole point of giving into your base instincts is that you think you're free, but you're actually a slave to those base instincts. So I was really interested by that. A really evil character. There's almost nothing redeemable about him except that he won't kill just for the pleasure of killing. He'll even kill innocent people. But I like that they said something
neat about evil that you can take away. That if you think being evil makes you free, it actually doesn't. So I really enjoyed it. An unusual manga, kind of not Shoujo Beat at all. I don't know why it's under that label. Maybe Shoujo Beat publishes more than just shoujo stuff. But I would recommend Blank Slate. I wish my copy from the library didn't have a lot of pages mysteriously ripped out. Read it if you have kind of had the stomach for an evil character, but it actually doesn't throw too much blood and guts or anything in your face. I'd call this like a PG-13 with an evil character that actually makes a good point about evil. Completely pointless, just endless fan service, no story, no excitement, no giant robots hitting each other. Shame on you. It's an anime that's famous for giant robots hitting each other. Show me the giant robots. I'm no one Marmaduke fan. I love you guys, and I will catch you later.